I've been reading Odd Girl Out for longer than I've been reading Hardcore Leveling Warrior. Longer than I've been reading Lore Olympus. Longer than I've been reading Unordinary. This series has been around since basically I started Webtoon, period. And yet I have not talked about it once. I've been around the YouTube game for a little more than 2 years. I've become a Webtoon ambassador and gained 11k subs. Thank you, by the way. You guys are amazing. I don't deserve any of this. I'm eternally grateful. But I should be put in shame jail for never mentioning this series. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm sure most of you are asking, what is Odd Girl Out and why is he being so weird about it? Well, Odd Girl Out follows our main character, Nari, navigating high school drama and problems. Our series starts out with such drama, as it starts with her entering her first year of high school. With her winter diet being a success, she has a new look and a new outlook, proud of who she's become. She's excited to start off the new year, but that's when the problems arise. As Yuna, her high school best friend, and that best friend is in quotes, as Yuna was seemingly more of a bully than anything else, picking on Nari and making her do things like bark like a seal, fan her, and massage her, basically be her servant. Yuna wasn't that good of a friend when they were kids, and they seemingly stopped hanging out. However, it turns out Yuna goes to the same school as Nari, and not just Yuna, but Sonji and Mira as well. These three girls are very classically beautiful, which means they all draw attention. However, Nari isn't really considered to be on the same level. Most people don't consider her when they're looking at the group. This leads Nari to be the titular Odd Girl Out, trying to manage all the problems of high school while being friends with the three most attractive girls in the school. I've been a big fan of this series. I really love the themes that they emphasize, but I've never really considered it for a video. For some reason, I didn't think it would fit into whatever style I made. That is, until today, clearly. Today, I'm starting a new type of series. A series that lets me talk about whatever webtoon I want to. Since I don't typically make reviews, this series will be the closest thing to a review I will make, talking about why I love certain webtoon series. The only rule is, I can't talk about the same webtoon twice. With that being said, let's get into our first dive into Odd Girl Out. Now, Odd Girl Out has a lot of important elements in it, but I think it has two elements that are the most important. That being the characters and the themes. Let's start out with the four main characters. I'll save our two I'll save Nari and Yuna for the end. So let's start with... Man, I am bad at names. Okay, Sonji. Got it. While Sonji isn't the first person introduced, her arc is the first one we get to see completed. Nari befriends Sonji purely by accident, just by giving her a cookie. Which, I'll be friends with someone for a cookie. Anywho, most of the characters kinda have their own role to fill. Nari is our main character. Yuna is the main childhood friend who secretly cares about people who actually care about her. And Mira is the feisty, artistic joker. Meanwhile, Sonji is very much the kind, honest, and pure friend. She's very sweet and caring. Out of the entire group, she's clearly the shyest, nervous when hanging out with others, even very shyly asking if she could eat with the group. Sonji is a very shy and quiet person. We very clearly see this when Nari starts to distance herself from the main group. While we don't super see how the others react, we see how Sonji is impacted. That she doesn't have anyone else to reach out to. That she doesn't have anyone else to talk to. That she doesn't have any other friends. Especially due to what happened before. The incident that deemed her as the boyfriend bandit. It's some good alliteration there. Anyways, We hear from some students gossiping, and then there was that famous incident. She had this one friend who stuck with her to the very end, but Sonji stole her boyfriend, so she became a total outcast at school. What goes around comes around. What actually happened was that Sonji just wanted friendship, not even with the guy that she supposedly stole. Add some high school gossip for spice, and this is a classic case of one party tricking the others. Just lying. This is just lying, basically. Sonji was a rather meek person. She was always worried and nervous about being social or friends with others. However, being around people like Yuna, Mirai, and most importantly, Nari, Sonji has become a little more confident in herself. While she can be rather meek sometimes, she's fully ready to stand up for her friends. Willing to fight anyone who makes Nari sad. Yelling at people that they'll rot in hell for not liking their bakery's food, and wanting to bash a bully in with a chair for making fun of Nari. Viewers at home, get yourself a friend like her. Someone willing to enact violence on your enemies. Sonji has an entire arc about her backstory and her family life that genuinely made me cry, but I wouldn't want to spoil it if you haven't read it. Which also brings us to our next character. Like I said before, Mirai is the feisty, artistic joker. She's upbeat and bright. Unlike Sonji, who is much more of a calming presence who's willing to straight up murk anyone who looks at her friends wrong, Mirai feels a lot more like the opposite. She's joyful, happy, loud, and a tad aggressive, but that's all hiding a much softer and more somber side to her. We all need that loud, energetic friend that Mirai is very much. She's never been afraid to call someone out for what they do, never been afraid to stand up for her friends, as she's done many times for Nari, often willing to be both the chaotic one and the voice of reason. Honestly, I would love to go into Mirai's major arcs, but those come much later in the season, further than Sonji's major arc. But what I love about Mirai is that her optimism and her energy isn't the only thing to her. We do see that somber side to her. We see her struggle, we see her uncertainty about her future, about her career, about who she wants to be versus who society wants her to be, who her mom wants her to be. She may appear to be laid back, but she has her secrets, which is fair, we all keep secrets. But what I really like is that Mirai learns to trust her friends, learns to rely on them, willing to be vulnerable with them, which I think is a good lesson to teach. But that also brings us to Yuna and Nari have a lot to them, and it's pretty important to talk about them together. Yuna is one of our first characters introduced. She was Nari's childhood best friend, and like I mentioned before, that friendship didn't super seem to be the friendship that we know and appreciate. We see Nari reminisce about the past, that Yuna wasn't the best friend. She seemingly treated Nari more like a servant than anything else, at least when they were younger. But the story starts off in high school with Nari wanting to turn over a new leaf, which is when she meets up with Yuna again, as her life seemingly becomes a disaster. Now, the friendship between Yuna and Nari is probably the most important element to these characters. Now, their friendship did seemingly end a little earlier than when we started, but now it's back in motion. And you have to understand these characters. Yuna is a cold person. She's direct, blunt, honest, brutal sometimes. She's always seemingly mad or condescending. Meanwhile, Nari is very much the opposite. She's bright and cheerful, a little nervous at first, very much a people person. A very warm and charming presence. Nari loves her friends and isn't afraid to show it. Meanwhile, Yuna doesn't super seem to love anyone, as Mirai's name for her is Ice Queen. And yeah, that's about right. However, throughout the series, we get to see how close Yuna and Nari are, and how much their friendship is important to Yuna. To know why, we need to know a little more about their backstory. Yuna's nickname, Ice Queen, is a rather fitting name. The ice part, because of how cold she is. But the queen part might fit even better, as ever since she was young, she was considered a princess. Someone who didn't care about anyone or talk to anyone except Nari for some reason. The reason for their friendship is an important aspect to the entire season. Why these two people who are so different are staying friends together. But there is an episode where we get to see their past. Yuna is a rich kid, but she's had some health problems. She was seemingly weak and her legs were always in pain. She was sickly and thin. Unlike Nari, she didn't want to talk to anyone. She didn't want to do anything. When they were younger, Nari would always look after Yuna. One of the earliest moments we get is when it's almost Yuna's birthday. But she's going to be hospitalized for a week. She can't go out or to school. She has to spend most of her time at home. And she's trapped. Nari was her ray of sunshine, the person who would show her non-stop love and affection and care. Nari would take care of her, and in her own way, Yuna would take care of Nari. Like asking her to jump over a pool of freezing water. Nari remembers this as Yuna just kind of being a jerk. But that was Yuna trying to help Nari get better at the long jump, to show off to the other students that she can do it. Nari looks out for Yuna in the conventional way, the way we know, the way she knows best. Yuna looks after Nari in a completely different way, but still in a way that she knows best. Which brings us to... There's a lot to Odd Girl Out. The series deals with so many issues and problems that not only high schoolers go through, but celebrities and victims of bullying or negligence or abuse. But I think there are two important themes. One is that everyone goes through difficulties. Everyone faces some sort of trauma or hardship. Our story starts out with Nari being kind of jealous of the group. In her eyes, they're all so much prettier than her. They're all seemingly better than her, but that can't be further from the truth. Sonji has a problematic family. Mirai has dealt with online abuse and hate, and Yuna has gone through actual health problems. They're all victims of gossip, of hate from their fellow students, people they considered friends. Even our bullies go through things. Everyone goes through issues and problems. How we let it influence the way we treat others, though, is important. Do we treat others like trash because we're going through hardship? Or do we treat others with respect because it's what we want? Which brings us to our last theme, friendship. This series really emphasizes the good and the bad of friendships. All of our main characters have had to deal with friends who were two-faced. Friends who didn't have their best interest at heart, friends who only wanted something out of them. Meanwhile, they've all found each other. They've all connected with each other. They've all been vulnerable with each other. Opened up about their trauma and issues, about their insecurities and pains. The beauty of Odd Girl Out is simple. It's as simple as friendship. That while there are people in our life who want to hurt us, there are people in life who want the best for us. And I think that's beautiful. But what about you? What are your thoughts on this series? Leave it in the comments below. And if you like this new type of series, show your support by suggesting which one I should talk about next time. If we like this enough, I might make it like a monthly thing. Who knows? I make this channel, but I love your support. And thank you again for 11K, it means a lot to me. I don't like boasting about subscription numbers or asking you guys to subscribe, because you're not dumb. You know if you like the content you can, but I'm not gonna force you to do it. But like always, thank you for watching, and I hope I'll see you next week. Take care.